Hey everybody, Mo here, and welcome to a very important episode of Sweaty Thursday. So, this weekend is a very important weekend for most players. This weekend is, in fact, the Last Chance Gauntlet. Opens in 2 days. So, on Saturday will be your chance to qualify for this season's seasonal championship if you're not in the top 700 of Masters players. What that means is this is very important. For those of you that have played Gauntlet up previously, got your Prime Glories, got your buys, this weekend is the weekend that everything matters. The weekend everything counts. As well as if you aren't grinding for Gauntlet, or maybe you try for Gauntlet and you don't get where you want to, it's your last week to try and qualify. I think a week from today, from tonight, is when cutoff happens with or for seasonals. So for seasonal ladder cutoff. So you have to try to hit top 700 masters in the next week. So if you don't do well on Gauntlet, maybe, and you get unlucky, your Gauntlet fails out for you on Saturday, then, you kind of have to put the pedal to the metal and really start grinding for that master spot to qualify for seasonals. And so that's what this is going to help you out with. The people that don't have time to grind all week, and maybe this is your last weekend, you're mid-diamond, or you're trying to get there, or you're really just going to try and push for next week. This will hold you over open until the Meta Monday, which will tell you all the new stats for the new season. So what I'm going to do here is just tell you what I think the best 6 decks are in the game at the moment for this new patch, because we did just get a brand new patch yesterday, a bunch of changes, a bunch of nerfs, a bunch of buffs, and I'm going to let you guys know what I think are the best 6 decks to play this weekend. And I really want to stress before I get into this with the precaution, like a little asterisk, please play what you know how to play. It doesn't matter what decks I tell you are really good. It doesn't matter what decks other people tell you are really good. If you don't know how to play those decks, or you don't like those decks, or you aren't comfortable on those decks, please don't play them. Play whatever deck you feel the most comfortable on. Play whatever deck you feel the most confident on. Because if I tell you the best 3 decks in the game are Darkness, Thralls, and TF Nami, and you go and you play them, and then you lose because you don't know how to play them, it's going to be a not good time. You're going to throw away your Last Chance Gauntlet, you're going to lose a lot of LP, and it's just not going to be a fun time, and then you're going to get upset at me for it because you're like, well, Mo, you told me to play these decks. Okay, I really want to stress, playing a deck you know how to play is the most important thing in card games, period. So please, if you know how to play one of these decks, or if you know how to play some of these decks, great. That means that you should probably really be playing it this weekend. However, if you don't know how to play some of these decks, don't play them this weekend. Don't force yourself to learn something new in a time where it's crunch time and you don't have a lot of time to do that. Now, with that out the way, let's get into this episode of Sweaty Thursday of the decks I would be using for ladder and the lineup I'd be using for Gauntlet this weekend. So, we'll start at the top and go to the side. So first up is TF Nami. So TF Nami got hit with the nerf. Tentacle Smash got nerfed to only spawn 2. So basically, if you're not playing a Tentacle deck, this card's pretty useless now, which I think is good. You shouldn't be slamming this card into every single deck ever known to man, and it should still be really good with all the Tentacle decks, just like, I think it should be. So as a replacement for that, TF Nami players started playing Go Hard. You take out Tentacle Smash, put it in Go Hard. It beats all of the degenerate aggro decks running around, and it gives you a long game plan against a lot of the control style decks. So against like Darkness and stuff like that. Eventually what happens is you just get to pack your bags, you put them down to like 5, you put them down to really low, and you go, okay, pack your bags, remove all your blockers, kill you. Kill your Senna, kill your Viger, stuff like that, which is really good for you. Yeah, so this is a deck I'd play. This is definitely the hardest deck on this whole list. So again, I'm just going to say it one last time. If you don't know how to play this deck, please don't grief your LP away. Don't do that. I will put out an in-depth guide on this probably Tuesday to try and help you guys, anyone interested in this for seasonals. I still don't think that's nearly enough time to get you ready for seasonals, but I will be putting a deck guide out for this, and I'll have a written guide in my Discord. Also, join my Discord, competitive Discord. Any questions about competitiveness, all that type of stuff, about decks, matchups, lineups, stuff like that, will be talked about in my Discord a lot this weekend. Oh my god, everything's shifted up. Is it going to shift every time I click the edit deck button? Oh my, that's not very good design. Okay, whatever. We'll work with this. So yeah, make sure to join my Discord, get all that type of stuff. Deck number 2 we're going to talk about is another Twisted Fate deck, but it's Pirates this time, very aggressive. I think this is probably the best bet if your goal is to win through ladder and you don't have a lot of time. This is by far the easiest and most refined aggro list at the moment. So go ahead and just play Pirates. You just play your 1-drops, play your 2-drops, finish it off with a bunch of burn. This deck has Decimates, Eye for the open attack, Riptide Sermon as a, kill any trouble champion your opponent has, deal 2 to the Nexus. Especially because a lot of people don't even know you're playing this card, because when people think of Pirates, they just think of like, oh, they're just going to play like 1-drop, 2-drop, and then, hit me with a Decimate and stuff. So a lot of people aren't actually expecting you to play Riptide Sermon yet, because it's not super popular. So this would be a great time to go ahead and cheese out a bunch of wins with it. It'd be a great time to go ahead and do that and get you a bunch of LP. Not too much to say about this deck. It's Pirates. This is by far the easiest deck here. Probably the second easiest, right behind Thralls, but it's definitely like one of the 2 easiest decks to play this weekend, and the games are going to be really short, so you should be able to gain a lot of LP pretty quickly. Deck number 3, Jace Heimerdinger. So Jace Heimerdinger got hit with literally 0 nerfs. In fact, it got buffed by the decks it loses to getting nerfed. So like Kaisa's still extremely playable. It's still on the list today. It's still really good. 3 different people have hit rank 1 with Kaisa, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So even with that Kaisa still being good, it's a lot easier of a matchup because they can't just go, okay, burst speed, give my units spell shield, and fuck you and stuff like that. So it's a lot more, gives you a lot more room to interact. I also play 2 Aloof Travelers in this version because Kaisa is typically your most expensive card in your deck outside of Abomination. So you're going to hit either Kaisa or Abomination a lot of the times, which is really good. And outside of that, it's really good into aggro, which I think a lot of this weekend, especially ladder, is going to be aggro. It's going to be a lot of people trying to jam games in extremely quick. So playing a deck that plays, a bunch of 1-drops, Mystic Shot, Vile Feast, Shock Blast, like gaining life with Piercing Darkness, stuff like that is going to be extremely good and extremely powerful. So that's why I think this deck is going to be really good. It got hit with 0 nerfs. It was already tier 1 before patch. It's still tier 1, still power level, even got better power level, and now you're really good into aggro decks that are running around. Deck number 4 we're going to talk about is Thralls. So Thralls is probably the second easiest deck here, and it's changed up a little bit, but it's still extremely strong. I know Thralls got moved to 9 mana, but still extremely strong. This is my version of Thralls, of what I would play, kind of teched for the meta. So again, Kaisa is still extremely playable, so you really are going to want things like Icevale Archer to deal with Abomination mid to late game, maybe even a Kaisa mid to late game. Let's see. So that's really good. Anytime people are playing like, Draven Scion. So Icevale Archer is going to be good against Vi or Scion and stuff like that if it goes that long. It's going to be very good into that. So that's why Icevale Archer's here. Ice Shard, just to give you a tiny bit more of an edge against the aggro decks running around. Also, it helps you out a lot against Monkey. You should already be really good into Monkey because you play 2 denies. So you, first of all, just deny the Monkey card and you'll be really good. But this is just to give you more agency. So you already played 2 Avalanche and a deny. So now Ice Shard really helps you against that. Blighted Ravine, people get tricked and think like, oh, well, I play 6 Avalanche, so I beat Monkey every time. It's like, Blighted Ravine doesn't actually help you against Monkey because your Blighted Ravine doesn't go off and stop all the monkeys from hitting you. It goes off the next turn. So it helps you a tiny bit with your Monkey matchup. Helps you a little bit against aggro decks, which you should already be okay into. And then I put 1 Promising Future in. The biggest thing about Thralls and why it's so good is it beats Darkness, which Darkness is extremely popular right now after the patch buffing Darkness and nerfing a lot of Darkness counters. So Thralls already beat Darkness. It's historically always beaten Darkness. Thralls has historically always beaten Control decks, period. And so playing 1 Promising Future kind of just makes the games free. If you ever draw Promising Future against a Control deck or a slow deck that's not playing Deny or Homecoming, you literally just win the game just on the spot. Even though it got nerfed to 6 mana, that's fine. You just play like a turn slower and hit it with Talia and just win the game anyways. Yeah, I know some versions are playing, was the new Frost, or not new Frostbite, the Harsh Winds. I know some people started playing Harsh Winds in the deck, but I like the one Promising Future over the Harsh Winds. I think with the Ice Veil Archers, you should already be good into most mid-range decks. Plus, you're still on, you know, Three Sisters for Frostbites, so I think the one Promising Future helping you against the control decks that are going to be popping up is going to be more. It's going to be more helpful more often than the Harsh Winds will be against the random mid-range decks. Next deck, deck number 5, second to last deck we're going to talk about here is Darkness. So Darkness got a pretty big buff with Catalyzer going up to back to a 3/2, so it helps you be kind of like a pseudo aggro deck again, which is pretty pog. And then on top of that, a lot of the counters to Darkness got nerfed, which is pretty pog. You see here, this is Rezoth's version. I took it from him on ladder because he has the highest LP with Darkness right now. He's playing things like Hidden Pathways to kind of draw you into cards. I don't think Hidden Pathways is necessarily that great, but if it's working for him, it's working for him. I'd probably take out Hidden Pathways for like, I don't know. I guess you do need some sort of draw, so it's fine. It's, you know, 4 mana draw 2, costs 2 less, so yeah, I mean, it's pretty on par with a lot of things with a little bit less of an effect, so it's just a nice way to kind of refill your hand against the slow, grindy matchups. Now, on top of that, you're going to smoke all the aggro decks with this version because you're playing, you know, the double Withering Whale, your Vile Feast. This one isn't playing Bird, but I know some people are playing one drop Bird just to have a good 1 mana 2/1 blocker against Noxus aggro. So if you hit a lot of Noxus aggro playing 1 mana 3/2 and you're tired of it, just go ahead and throw in a Bird here. You can probably do it instead of like a Wallop, or instead of like you take out Hidden Pathways, Wallop. There you go. There's your birds. So it's pretty nice. Yeah, Darkness extremely strong. Transposition instead of Miscall I think is the right play. I think it's been the right play for a long time. I think players just haven't been on it for some reason. But Transposition is really, really strong with things like Rekindler. Keeping your champions alive here is very good, especially on the turns where you're like, oh, I have to chump block down a lot or block a lot of things. Why let it be a 50-50 on if you're going to bring back a Viger or a Spiderling when you can just spend 1 extra mana to guarantee you get your Viger back? Yeah, Darkness, really, really good. Darkness is not the most difficult deck, but it's not the easiest. But if you've played any type of control deck or Darkness in the past, it plays out the exact same. You really are just trying to get the maximum amount of value out of your Darkness and get the maximum amount of value out of each one of your spells as possible while managing your HP and not trying to drop down to, obviously, dead. And the last deck, we're not really going to talk about it. I'm just going to show you, is Kaiser. There's not really much to talk about because it's the exact same deck we've been playing, except you're not a combo deck anymore. You're just a mid-range deck. So if you guys remember how Sivir Auction used to play, where it was just like, oh, I'm just casually this like really big mid-range deck that outstats my opponents, and I also have really good keywords, and I'm just going to take control of the game, take control of the board, and basically make it to where nothing you do matters. That's what this deck is now, except you just took out Sivir and you put in Kaiser. So instead of playing a 4 mana 5/3 Spell Shield quick attack unit that says when I level up, give my keywords to everything, you spend 1 more mana for a 6/6 that says I gain the keywords of my, you know, followers, or I gain the keywords of the other units or whatever. So you can still get the like, you also don't, if you notice, you don't main deck Supercharge anymore. Like, no main deck Supercharge. No, it's not a mono champion anymore because you're not playing it as a combo deck, so you're not playing Rite of Calling. It's very much just a very honest mid-range deck, and it just plays like, I'm going to control the board, I'm going to win the board state, and then I'm going to win the late game with, you know, Abomination is still really fucking good. But this card is still super nuts. This card literally did not get changed, right? So it's just like, eventually, you're just going to slam this Void Abomination, and your opponent can't deal with it. And then, yeah. So the only thing with Kaiser is it made it a lot more interactable, so it's a lot more balanced, but it's still not bad by any means. It's still really, really good. And the decks that can't interact with your champion, or can't interact with the follower you're trying to give the keywords to and stuff, you're basically playing the same game as before, minus the Spell Shield Overwhelm, because you're not main decking Supercharge anymore. So yeah, still extremely good. Literally 3 different players have hit rank 1 with Kaiser post-patch. Mostly because it's still a refined deck. Like, it's probably one of the most refined decks we have this patch that people are playing. So it's kind of like this guy hit it, this guy hit it, and this guy hit it. All 3 of these. I don't think Cup is mine hit it with Kaiser, but I know for a fact that these 3 individuals each separately hit it with Kaiser recently, which is, you know, Kaisa's definitely not dead. It's just a lot more fair. It gives a lot of decks that should beat it in theory actually beat it now. So like Darkness will actually beat it because you can interact with Kaiser, you can interact with the unit you're trying to second skin. Jaysheimer like will actually beat it now because you can Vengeance the Kaiser, you can kill off the units trying to second skin. So a lot of the champion or a lot of the decks that is supposed to beat Kaiser will now actually beat Kaiser because you can interact with it. It's not just like, hey, I'm supposed to beat you, but really I don't, because you're going to have burst speed, spell shield, and you're going to have 2 mana save your unit. If you notice, this deck's Arsenal aren't playing, they're not playing any Hourglass anymore because it got nerfed, right? So people aren't playing any more Hourglass in this deck, so a lot less protection. You're basically your only protection against hard removal spells is Rite Negation, which it's not the easiest thing to keep up Kaiser and Rite Negation all the time. So yeah, and they're only on 2, so they have to have exactly that instead of being on like 4 with Rite Negation and Ancient Hourglass and whatever it was called, the and Supercharge. I don't know why I can't remember the name of this card. So yeah, so Kaiser really good. If you're a mid-range player, Kaiser's really good, and it's really balanced now. So yeah, so that's what I would play. As far as lineups go, literally just pick any 3 of your best decks to play, and that's what would make a good lineup. It's the same rule of pick decks that you know how to play, pick decks you're comfortable with, and then play those decks. And Gauntlet, I'll be honest with you, a lot of Gauntlet decks suck ass. A lot of Gauntlet players just kind of bring, you know, whatever favorite deck they want to play because they're just like, oh, I want to play Legends of Runeterra on my weekend. It's going to be fun. So let me just load up for this Gauntlet because it's here, you know, and they're not sweaty people watching a YouTube video on how to win Gauntlet like you guys are. So they're not going to be caring too much and putting too much thought into their Gauntlet lineup. And so, yeah, so I would recommend any of the, like literally any 3 really good decks will fit. They don't even have to be the most cohesive. I personally this weekend would probably be playing Nami TF, Thralls, Jaysheimer, Nami TF, Thralls, Darkness. Like I would pick one of these 3, 3 of these 4. Definitely Thralls and Nami TF, but again, I'm a really good Nami TF player, so that's why. If you don't play Nami TF, another really, really good core is just Thralls, Jaysheimer. You go Thralls, Jaysheimer, Kaiser, Thralls, Jaysheimer, Darkness, Thralls, Jaysheimer, like Pirates. Like even though these 3 decks are kind of different, they will still work out because they're still extremely strong and extremely good, right? So that's what I would recommend. That's your Sweaty Thursday. I hope you guys do a great job in Gauntlet. Let people know in the comments down below what your lineup for Gauntlet's going to be. Let me know in the Discord. Join the Discord and let me know how your Gauntlet ends up doing. Post screenshots in there of you qualifying for Gauntlet or what your Gauntlet lineup's going to be. I wish everybody good luck this weekend, whether you're climbing LP to hit Masters, hit top 700, or you're trying to get that Last Chance Gauntlet qualification for the seasonal. Big good luck this weekend. Hope you guys can do it. I'll see you guys in the next video.